WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are into bye week around here. And, sometimes I get the storytelling with my friends and my sponsors, and real life happens, and then my backache happens. This guy, last time we were together, we were getting a crab cake together. We were supposed to be going to Nick's Grandstand Grill in Timonium. It was all sewn up, and then my back fell apart. My life fell apart. The crab cake tour fell apart. The Maryland Lottery has gotten me these gold-plated things to drink from now to let myself play. And I have not had a crab. I've had one crab cake the entire month of October. But I'm going to change that this week. We're going to be at Silver Spring Mining Company on Thursday, redoing what we did from last week. Then on Friday, we're going to be at the Chop Tank in Fells Point doing the new thing we were supposed to do. And then we're going back to Nick's on the 12th. I'm hoping that Leonard Raskin can join me there. Leonard has been out in Ohio with his lad, and let's see, hockey games, and beat Penn State. My neighbors don't like that. They're Penn State people. I got a lot of Penn State. I don't have a lot of Ohio State people. You're one of the few. Is this new issue that you're wearing, this Ohio State thing? I know you're out in Columbus.
This is new issue. This is new issue. I got trapped out in Columbus a little bit with some family dynamic going on. So we're all good. We'll make it through. So be it. But it was an interesting time. The beautiful thing about being trapped out here a little bit, I wasn't supposed to be here this past weekend. And I had the opportunity to spend some quality time with my son and had two great nights. First night was watching him play in the athletic band. Now, for those of you that don't know, most people probably not.
I confused this with the Rush band a couple of weeks ago, right?
I didn't know at all, yeah.
And by the way, I've seen that band, and I've kidded you about Hang On Sloopy, about being
phenomenal.
The theme song. I've seen the Ohio State band play, I'm not kidding you, a dozen times. They almost always play the Ravens game in Cleveland. Yeah. And this was an Art Modell sort of tradition and dotting the I. And hey, so that band, what they called the best damn band in the land, right?
The best damn band in the land, Tabiddle. But I don't think it actually stands for that if you say it out loud with the letters.
Your boy's not in that band. I told my wife, he's like sort of in the pep band, right?
Correct. Right. There's two different bands. There's the marching band, consists only of brass and percussion. The athletic band is every instrument, plays every game, every other event except football, except the football game.
So what I would, my buddy, one of my lifer friends, he was an intern for me in 1993. Mike Wargo, I call him Carolina Mike. He's been matter of fact, he came on to talk about Neil Peart and Rush after Neil died, because he's a drummer. He was the drummer in the North Carolina Tar Heels band, and that's the band that goes to the Final Four and goes to the ACC tournament. He was in that band, right?
So
like, I said to my wife, it's like the UMBC band that you like.
That's right.
Fun, right?
If you will, it's the pep band. They're a lot more loose. They're a lot more fun. The as my son calls it, the marching band is a cult, and they're a bunch of crazy kids that do it. I mean, look, that band. They have 450, 500 kids come out in August for tryouts, and only 250 make it, and only 150 or 75 perform. So it's really competitive. It's big time. It's like the darn sports.
I've had John Zeman on. You don't have to tell me. He's been doing it since 1957. I mean, marching bands, there's something about doing that it's an amount of practice above and beyond blowing on the tuba.
Oh yeah, they sometimes go to class. They're mostly.
And your son is what instrument?
Tenor sax.
Beautiful.
Tenor sax in the athletic band. So I got the opportunity this past Friday night. Had the great opportunity to go watch him play in the athletic band while watching a nice breed of hockey, the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Michigan State Spartans. So some decent hockey.
Well, Michigan State for hockey's. I mean, Kelly Miller went there 40 years ago.
Michigan State beat Ohio State 2-1 on Friday night. Ohio State returned the favor 5-1 on Saturday afternoon.
So they play back to back, but this is at the Schottenstein Center, right?
Correct, at the Schottenstein.
See, I saw Jimmy Buffett there. I was in a different state of inebriation, but I've been to the Schottenstein Center.
So I got to see him play in the band. It was outstanding. We got some great recording of the kid. They played Hang On Sloopy, all the fine tunes. They play the fight song. I still have to get down the OH.
All the favorites.
Thing. Yeah, all the favorites. but
The
it was a blast.
OHIO. Well, you were an Oriole fan. You got the O with Wild
I
Bill.
got it, but you just got to get it at the right time and the right order. And the whole crowd, this is insane.
Wild Bill
The whole
spotted you
crowd
the
at both,
I too. You got an O
right,
and an
right,
I.
right, at both baseball, at you got me confused, at hockey and football. The whole crowd knows all the songs and what to sing and what to say and what time and when everything happens. And I'm just like first game in it going, I got to figure this out. But I was more interested in taking video of the band on Friday than the hockey game. It was a good hockey game anyway. So I'm there
Are
Friday
you
night.
a traditional Maryland fan in that way? I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
you're such a sports fan, man. Like,
yeah,
I
I
mean,
love the Terps, except when they're playing Ohio State.
yeah, I
You got to
haven't talked to
change
you
that
much
now.
about that, but I mean, you've got Buck Williams memories like me, and
Yeah,
you're that
absolutely,
guy. Because
absolutely.
we
Albert
never
King,
talk about that. But like
Albert King, the
with
whole
your
crew.
kid going there, I'm giving you a hard time, like a little Thornton Mellon back to school
Yeah, hey,
weekend.
Hey,
but
you know, I was all about finding a professor to ask on a date and find out when she had no class.
absolutely, man.
But my wife wouldn't let me go that route, so I'm just hanging out at the school.
And then
thing.
you get Rocky's brother-in-law driving. Remember, he was driving
right,
the limo,
right?
right?
The limo. Look. I told my son has not seen that movie, and I said to him, dude, you got to watch that movie because we can rip out a few walls here and make it a dorm.
All right, look, man, I've been around the world with you, going to Ravens games and doing different stuff. Just riddle me this, because your kid's out there and it costs a lot of money, and he's getting educated, hopefully gets a job and plays at tenor sax and Springsteen.
Thank God for scholarships,
whatever it's going to be, right? so you go out there and for this extended period of time, and you get sort of lost in it for a day or two. And I'm only asking this because I've been to Columbus like twice in my life. One time I almost missed a flight just through the airport. I went down to the hockey rink where the Blue Jackets play and grabbed a sandwich, but I've not spent much time at all. Now, Brian Billick lives in Columbus now,
Great
right?
place. Growing fast, rapidly growing city.
It's
Very
a big
cool
city.
town.
It's not like
talking
about Lincoln, Nebraska or something.
No,
we're talking about the biggest city in Ohio.
Full-grown, top 15 growing cities in the country. Massive expansion, massive construction. I couldn't believe the roads Saturday leading into the shoe for the football game. So I got to go watch Ohio State, Penn State. It was a scarlet night in the shoe. Everybody in the crowd wearing red, except a little swath of the family section for Penn State there wearing white. And the crowd, they all have their chants. The crowd screaming, "You're not our rival." That was pretty entertaining.
Well, you missed, and I must point out, like, your kid's in second year, but last year was masks, no fans, nothing.
No
so this
fans,
was like
nothing.
your first Thornton Mellon, like your first going to school with your kid, where there's energy. And but to me, it feels like that's a real college town. And listen, I've been to, and I think I've told you this over years. I've been to Tuscaloosa. I've been to Knoxville. I've been to Athens. I've been to Oxford, Mississippi. I've been to Gainesville. I've been to these. I've been to Penn State. I've been to these. I've never been to Notre Dame. Never been to Michigan. I've been to Wisconsin. So I've been to games and big college games and big towns. Columbus is a little different to me because it is this big city that is owned by the college in that way, and never had anything else other than the Buckeyes. And there feels to me to be, and I've never helicoptered in, I've never gone to a game there. I've talked about it, I've talked about it for years, just never done it. I did go to a concert there once, and that's different. But I would think this sort of weekend you've had there, that's different than driving down to College Park for a game.
Oh, there's no doubt. This tailgating starts on Friday night, 6 a.m. Saturday morning. The parking lots and garages open up. They have a concert. They have bands on stage, full concerts, tents everywhere. People are partying, tailgating from 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. after the game. This was a 7:30 Saturday night game. You weren't getting an Uber or driving your car out of a parking garage for a couple hours after that game. 104,000 crazy Ohio State fans, all in scarlet, all in red, running around. Kids, parents, season ticket holders, lifers. It's just a ball. It's a wild atmosphere. The crowd is crazy. The band. So my son sits in the student section in the end zone that Ohio State is coming at, and the band is sitting, the marching band sitting right next to him. So he is right there with
Now
the
he's been
marching
to a
band.
game or two because they've had a couple of home
He's
games.
been to all the games so far this home
Okay.
season. He's seen him lose to Oregon, which he was distraught about. He saw him blow out Maryland, which he was thrilled about. And he had a little wager there with some high school friends that are in the band also at Maryland. So they blew out Maryland. And now Penn State, big game, Saturday night, ABC, just a ball. And one of the things I said to my son, not before this game, but before the season, and right after the Alabama A&M game, I said to him, dude, the bad thing for you, the sad thing for you is you're never going to get to rush the field at Ohio State because you guys are supposed to beat everybody. And you rush the field when it's an upset and your team wins a big victory and you're not ranked and you beat that number one team and you go crazy. And I don't know what happened, man. Saturday night, they beat Penn State by 9. They're supposed to beat Penn State. And the clock ticks to 0 and a couple kids on the campus in the stands decided to jump over and try to run on the field. Before you know it, there's 50,000 kids on the field. Really cool event, I guess. This happens every game, every home
so
game.
If it's a crime and you take a picture down there, I'm just saying, I don't know,
You ain't getting arrested for this one. You're not getting arrested for this one. So the football team walks up to the end zone every game, and they play Carmen, Ohio, which is the team alma mater, the school alma mater. The band plays it here.
All these years, I thought it was Hang On Sloopy. All these years.
Hang On Sloopy's a pep tune. I don't know why it's become the famous school song. I don't know the history.
Well, I mean, I've seen listen, every year the Ravens would play the Browns. They would bring the Ohio State pep band up. So I've seen that band play, and that's a serious band, right? Like the best damn band in the land, amazing. Right?
They're amazing. There are about 450, 500 kids that try out for this band in August. About 220, 250, I think the number is something like that, make the band. And then this is really crazy. I think 190, 200 of them perform game day. So here's what happens. If you don't get to perform game day, you're an alternate. You got to stand along the sidelines during the march in. Everybody knows about it if you've ever seen it. The march into the stadium, and when they do the
we saw the Rush thing a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah. But that's a halftime show. So when both times, here's what happens. If you're not active for the game, you got to stand on the sideline, but here's your job on the sideline. You have to watch somebody playing the instrument you play, or people watch, the group that play what you play, and hope somebody screws up, and you got to knock them out. On Monday, you got to go into the band room for practice and make your case why that guy, third, tuba, whatever, screwed something up, and you got to knock him out so you can take his place or her place next week on the field. That's how competitive it is. There are knockouts to get your shot. It's unreal. So anyway, band is playing, football team's coming up. The crowd is going wild. Kids all over. I say to my son, look, you're never going to get this opportunity again. Do you want to go down the field? He's like, nah, I don't care. I said, dude, you're never going to do this. You got to do it now. He goes, why? Who cares? I'm like, dude, come on. So I grabbed him and walked. I was the oldest freshman on the field. I grabbed my son and made him charge the field with all these crazy people. And sure enough, we were standing right in front of CJ Stroud, quarterback, while they were singing. My son is singing the alma mater, and the football team is singing it to the band. And we're standing there in the end zone watching all these crazy. The place was silent.
And now you're a Buckeye for life. Now you're done with the Terps, right?
That's right. Well, I'm a Terps fan unless they're playing the Buckeyes. That's kind of how we roll.
Leonard Raskin is here, Raskin Global. Usually like managing money and doing stuff. You've had an interesting little month here. I think it's been an interesting month for the Ravens as well, as we got the bye week going on here. You're out in the middle of Ohio, all the fertile soil of football this weekend, and the Browns and emerging, and the Bengals who beat the Ravens. There's no good team in this league, right? And
well, you should have heard. You should have heard the news out here in the last week, because I've been out here the last week. You should have heard the news. They were ready to put the Bengals not only in the Super Bowl, but the whole team in the Hall of Fame for destroying the Ravens. And then they came out this weekend, and now they're back down to earth. They're like, oh, they're just the Bengals.
Well, yeah, and Baker Mayfield and where the Browns are and the Steelers for 6 months. Any sports conversation I've had back with the draft, after the draft, hey, what do you think of the year? Well, the Browns are emerging. What about the Steelers? They're old, Ben's fat, slow, they're done,
Yep,
whatever.
yep.
Not me, not me. I mean, I'm not going to be the one to kick sand on them. And
Especially not with Mike Tomlin. The dude is
well,
just gets the best out of. I think he gets the best out of every person that he coaches. There is no doubt he is an extraordinary coach.
the fact that we're
There
going to
is
see
no
these
way.
teams at the end of the year, the way the schedule
Yeah,
is
wow.
weighted, this
Big.
is this is the time it's got to be fertile. Minnesota this week, they look like trash Sunday night. Miami
Yep.
on short rest, great. Let's go do that. Long rest, go out to Chicago. They're not very good. I don't know about the weather and the cold. We're gonna be playing the Steelers here in January, right?
Yeah.
And the Rams as well. I would just say this: that period around Thanksgiving, we need to be 8-2. So these next couple of weeks, there can be no more stubbing toes.
And I'll tell you, I don't like injury. We all hate injury, but I gotta say, I heard that I'm not sure this is confirmed. Derrick Henry blew something up in the game
That
this weekend.
happened early on Monday morning. Word came out. There's going to be surgeries. There's going to be. So when you start to knock teams out of the way, I was going to tell you, I actually told
the
Dennis this
playoff run, Tennessee is scary to me.
Well, Buffalo is too, and exactly Derrick Henry's there. And if you don't have to worry about him, I would just say this.
One less thing to worry about.
I looked at Los Angeles for the first time this weekend. I had a flight for Super Bowl. And to your point with your son, you weren't sure whether you'd be able to go to a game, whether people will be there, whether there's going to be a radio row in LA. And I made my plans and I booked my hotel nights, a little more than I wanted to spend, but fine.
Yeah.
And then the weekend, I got some room down in Orange County, a little bit away from the madness because I'd like it better anyway. Luke and I'll be there. So I put all this together and I thought, Ravens could be there. I haven't ever done a Los Angeles Super Bowl. It's kind of weird to me. And I haven't even pictured the stadium yet, although I flew over the hole where it was coming out of LAX.
Yeah.
I've seen it on TV, over the weekend and all that.
It's a wild looking place.
Yeah. And every year I make Super Bowl plans. Every year I have to get a room. Every year I have to fill out all the forms. I do all that stuff. And some years you think, well, maybe the Ravens are there. And I always have some sort of plan. This was one of those years where I don't know if I'm going to make it, they're going to make it, who's going to make it. But after watching football on Sunday, I better start putting the car in the direction of, well, they might be there.
Got a shot. Got as good a shot as anybody. The AFC is wide open. Let's face it. Patrick Mahomes' face on Mount Rushmore is a little suspect. I mean, think about that. The guy got $500 million. That is a boatload of money. $500 million contract, and yet I don't know their record right now. I think it's 3-5, 2-5. I don't know. They're underwater, and their team's starting to speak out against their fans, and everybody thought he was going to just win every Super Bowl until he died. And here's
only Tom Brady that makes it look easy.
Brady winning more. Now they lost to the Saints in a crazy game, but my goodness, what's he 100? Brady 100 yet? My goodness, the guy I know every time I watch TV, the dude is either on a Subway commercial, I don't know. He's on every commercial.
He doesn't even eat it. You know that, right?
I know. I heard he took a bite of a roll or something. It was like a major
he was like
deal.
sort of putting it in his mouth and they cut it off. Like
right.
Kind of like they can never show you drinking beer in the commercials. You know that?
Supposedly he really bit a piece of bread for the first time in like 140 years.
But it was whole wheat, whole grain.
That's
Leonard
right.
Raskin is here. Raskin Global. I'm wearing the shirt. He's out in Ohio, dotting the I, having fun, going back to school, back to class. Yeah. Speaking of class and class being in session, end of the year here. We're now into November, right? I mean, we've been back and forth about the Build Back Better and money and all that stuff. You send advice every day
Yeah.
about what is the most common thing that you would say that you've seen a mistake that regular people make more than anything else in the market?
In the market, oh boy, in the market, it's picking individual stocks. There's
Okay.
no doubt about it. People believe that they have some innate ability, that they know what's going on at a
They
company or
drink the coffee, they
companies.
want to own it. They fly the airline, they want to
Yeah,
be on it. They buy
that's right.
the bag, they want to own the
Or they
brand.
or they heard a tip from their brother-in-law's cousin's nephew's father that Ferris Bueller is really sick.
Okay.
But they get a tip and they buy a stock. And here's the worst part: heaven forbid it makes money, because if that stock goes up and makes money, you want to do it some more. It's like gambling; it's a rush, and so you buy another one. And what you hear most often from people that buy individual stocks is about the ones they made. It's just like gambling. It's the one that they made money on. My stock went up 10 to 1. I put in 10, it went to 100. I made a fortune. And then you say, well, how much did you put in the stock? And they say $1,000. So you didn't bet your life on it. You bet $1,000. Yeah. And it went up to 10,000. I made a killing. And then they start buying more, and then they lose it all. And you can look at it as, I had $1,000 and I lost it, or I had 10,000 and I lost it, but they lose because people don't know what stocks to pick. The CEO of the company doesn't know what stocks to pick. It is pure speculation and gambling to buy individual stocks. Now, you might get lucky, but over the long term, there's no way you can be good. It's just impossible. The market wins, and the market is where returns come from. And then there are segments of the market that produce better results over the long term. It's academic, it's scientific, it's provable, it's how you should invest. And even when people do well and they buy some stocks and they do really well, I'll tell you this: they never buy the big winners. Even if you have a stock that goes up 50 to 1, let's just say you were lucky enough to buy Amazon before it was Amazon, and you rode that all the way through. Your behavior was perfect. You never sold. You just kept buying Amazon and you rode it all the way up, and you made a fortune on Amazon. There are still 20 other companies you could have bought that would have made you 10 times as much money. But people have never heard of those companies. There are companies out there none of us really know anything about that are the next whatever it is that have made Amazon look like a piker when it comes to returns. Now, they're not as big, they're not as growthy, but the fact is there are tons of them out there. And when you buy the whole market and you own the whole market, you get the advantage of all of that, and you don't take severe losses over the long term if you're disciplined. It's hard to be disciplined. So the biggest mistake is individual stocks. The second biggest mistake, no matter what you do in the market, is discipline. It is very hard. None of us are Mr. Spock. None of us are Mr. Data from Star Trek. We live with emotion. And when
Well, there's
these
also
things
the
go up and
cash out,
down,
the feeling that
that's right.
you can't count the money until you've gone to the casino cashier and like
That's right.
counted it when you get in the elevator, when you get back to the room, and you get out on the
That's right.
street, right?
And people don't do that. But they do it with stocks at the wrong time. They sell when things are relatively low. They buy at peaks. People buy at the height of excitement. They sell at the bottom of depression. And the average investor over a 20-year period earns about 3% return. So bad strategy and horrible discipline are the enemies of investing. It's kind of like I see these commercials during football and now during the World Series, and I don't know the company. I'm not a gambler, but this company says, bet $1 on your team to do X and you'll win $100. So basically they're giving out crack. They're telling people to gamble just this once. You'll make so much money. You'll be so thrilled. We're going to make you so much money. And then you gamble twice. And then you gamble 10 times. And then you're mortgaging the house, and then you're getting divorced and living on the street. These are bad things. Investing is not a game. Investing is not playing with money. It is the long-term financial future and security for you, your family, your children, your heirs. You want to do it right. And people don't, and they get hyped, and they buy the wrong stuff, and they sell at the wrong time, and they make 3%. And they took a lot of risk, and there's some excitement there, but there's a lot of heartache. So get with a professional, do it right, invest for the long term. And look, we all learned this in, I don't know what grade it was, kindergarten, first grade, tortoise and the hare. Investing is the tortoise, speculating is the hare. Be the tortoise, get yourself in the right place, in the right frame, save enough, invest it well, live happy.
Leonard
You know,
Raskin joins us.
money buys you time and choices. That's what it does. It buys you time and choices.
I know this time of year, I see so much impetus for the economy and spending and gifts and pressure on all of that. Certainly, end of the year. It is a time that, and I'm hearing more and more end of pandemic. Right, you and I have been for a year and a half. We don't talk as much about it. Things are getting better. The numbers are getting. All of these things are getting. I've had the mayor on in a couple of weeks. We're having a crab cake with him here in the city. Larry Hogan, hearing from him. I have a lot of politicians on through this, that we're getting to the end of it. And on the other end of it, you look at it and say, where was I March of 2020? Where am I now? And I'm weighing that myself in regard to sponsorships, friendships, relationships. I didn't have Baltimore Positive as a full-time endeavor. And a lot has changed over the last 2 years.
Absolutely.
Everybody sort of needs a little checkup on wherever they are. Right? Not just that, like just getting into the dentist has been difficult the last year. Just every checkup you need to make in your life. But this is an important time to make that checkup at the end of the year.
Absolutely. And let me give you a quick story. Again, something that's happened recently in our world, and it relates to any time because we never know. But I have a client worked with for years and years and years, and he was diagnosed with leukemia. You're very familiar, multiple myeloma. He's gone through rounds and rounds of chemotherapy and rounds of treatment, and you're supposed to get better. He's supposed to get better. And the doctors have given him a prognosis that the outlook is not good. Better is not necessarily coming his way. And one of the things that has led to is a meeting with his attorney, with myself, sitting down, making sure everything's buttoned up, the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, the beneficiaries are right. And we had this, we've had these couple intense meetings with his family, met with his wife, met with his kids, so that everybody's on the same page, know what's happening. It's kind of like a fire drill. You go through and say, okay, this is what happened. Dad's gone. Husband's gone. Now what? And we make sure that everything that's going to happen after that happens just the way the family wants it to. The only down, obviously, the major down is he's not here. But make sure everything is going to go and flow just as it should, so that there's no surprises, no horrible mistakes or heartaches because of a financial something or a form missed or a beneficiary not right or whatever it is. And after we had these meetings, I sat with the attorney for a couple minutes. I said to him, something, you and me and every one of our clients, we got to do this like you just said. You got to check up and make sure everything's right, because guess what? Somebody got hit by a bus and it didn't have the chance to know what was coming and have this meeting. COVID took out people. COVID, we talk about it's still here, continues to take out people. You don't know when your day's coming, and you need to do that checkup. Just what you said, man. You need to sit down this time of year. You need to make sure your beneficiaries are right. Your will is signed. Your family knows what happens if something happens, who to turn to, who are the critical people, who's handling the family's affairs, and make sure things are going to go the way you hope, because you never know. This guy, the only difference between him, you, and me is he has a diagnosis that's dire, and that he kind of has a feeling it's going to happen pretty soon. You and me are living like it's not going to happen pretty soon, and we don't have a bad diagnosis, but you know what? It could happen pretty soon. I don't know, dude.
When that doc hit me with the needle in the back a couple Wednesdays ago, I felt my creator. I felt like,
yeah, and it can happen. And so you're right. Check-in time is all the time, but at least once a year, get yourself with your advisors, with your team. If you don't have one, find one. We're available out there, raskinglobal.com. We're happy to help. We make sure that all of this stuff is in place so that if something happens, nothing happens that you didn't think was going to happen. And that's what's most critical.
Leonard Raskin, I'm wearing the shirt. He's Raskin Global. You can find him at raskinglobal.com. You can usually find him at the Ravens games. We'll see if we get him back for this Minnesota game and then Miami on short rest. By the way, I canceled my Miami trip. I can't even sit down right now, so let alone sitting on a plane. I'm either standing or lying, and then there's like a PT thing that I do on my stomach. So I'm getting a little bit better. But when you start to hear stenosis of this and the deterioration of that and arthritis of this
aging.
And your spinal and yeah. yeah. So I'm keeping myself together. We're going to get you and your loved ones together out there at the Ohio State and see if the Ravens can't beat those Vikings I saw on Sunday night.
Oh,
Shame on us all here. We'll be winning the division at 8-9 and 9-8, slogging it out with the Steelers and the Bengals and the Browns as well. Leonard joins us each and every week and always has great advice in regard to money and what to do with your money, as well as a little bit of sports fun. You can find him out at Baltimore Positive and at Raskin Global. Our Maryland Crab Cake Tour is everywhere because I had to cancel stuff in October. I haven't had a crab cake since September, driving me crazy, but I have a whole lot this week and next week and the week after that leading up to Thanksgiving. Thursday, we're at Silver Spring Mining Company in White Marsh, 2 to 5. Friday, we are at the Chop Tank in Fells Point. I'm going to get some fried chicken there as well. And out at Silver Spring, I'm going to get a crab pretzel. I'm going to get some ribs. I lost weight during all this ordeal in October. I'm going to gain it back in November appropriately with pumpkin spice, eggnog, and others. Next Wednesday, we're at Fadley's at Lexington Market early in the morning. And then on Friday the 12th, we are back in Timonium in Nick's Grandstand Grill. Leonard, I hope to get you out there, hopefully get you back
absolutely.
up on the beat. That's Friday the 12th. We'll be in Timonium. And then the 17th, for lunchtime, we're going to be there with Brandon Scott at Coco's in Lauraville. The Maryland Crab Cake Tour presented by the Maryland Lottery. Let yourself play. I'm Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, doing real radio. We never stop talking Baltimore positive.